I'm wearing sunglasses, not because I can't tolerate the sun, but because I look like absolute hell. I've been up for about 26 hours. People will ask me, you know, where do I think, what's my opinion on like where to find the absolute best loads on Amazon Relay? And historically, my answer would have been like the load board. I mean, just watching that. However, I mean, like lately, that has not been the case. You know, as of tonight, April 14th, 2024, I would say that spot capacity is where Amazon's kind of sneaking a lot of these great paying loads on there. It also really helps to know your area inside and out. I mean, that's kind of like an underlying theme on my channel here is you definitely want to know your area inside and out. I was kind of keeping an eye on the load board earlier today. Nothing really caught my eye. I mean, a lot of like not great paying loads, a lot of bundled trips, things that I try to stay away from. But then earlier tonight, they sent out spot capacity for this little DSD4 down to Sand 5 to DSD8 Poway, and then back down to either Sand 5 or Sand 3. Now, all day on the load board, they're trying to send this for like $230 to $250. Wasn't interested. They sent out spot capacity for $350, and I'm not claiming to be good at it. I'm not claiming to be like an expert on it, but one thing I do, you know, as far as like knowing your area, 2 bits of information I like to know. I want to know, like, in the last 2 weeks, what's the most they've sent that load for, and I also want to know, like, probably in the same last 2 weeks, what have I run it for? And with those two things, I'll usually like hit it back with a price that I'm comfortable with. So on this one, I think I saw, I think it was like 10 days ago, they sent this same thing for like $500, and it's like, you know, I can live with that. That's a rate that definitely not going to retire off of this rate tonight, but it's a rate I can live with, and it's one that's profitable for me. So, you know, I responded back with, so their offer was $350. I responded back with $500. That's more than I usually go up. I mean, usually I'll say like, you know, like a 20 or 30%. I know I can't do the quick math in my head right now. I'll probably get it wrong, but I don't know what bump 350 to 500 is off the top of my head, but you know, I felt comfortable in asking that because I've run this same lane for them like a few days ago for $500, and obviously it's an urgent load because they're sending it out on spot capacity. So, you know, people ask me sometimes, like, you know, how do you negotiate with them, all that type of stuff. I would say get really proficient in your area and figure out, you know, look for those 2 things. What have you run it for recently, and what's the most you've seen them run it for recently? And I would say the right answer is somewhere in the middle. But before I start work, I have to wash this truck. It is too dirty. We had like 2 little storms come through. The yard I park it in is a dirt lot, and it is just too dirty. I'm almost embarrassed to be driving it. So heading to kind of self-wash it right now over at Kalen's in El Cajon. Maybe one day I feel wealthy enough to go get those $80 truck washes, but $725 do-it-yourself, that feels right for me right now. Here's a little trick. I've told you before about finding that trailer before the Relay app tells you the trailer's ready. It also comes in useful in a situation like this. So I pulled in here, they told me to go to slip 509, which is where my trailer's at, the one heading up to Poway. I go to 509 and there's a there's a truck parked there. So I'm thinking like they probably didn't put it there because there's a truck parked there. So you can go into your, turn the screen record on, you can go into your in-transit trips, go onto the leg of it that you're looking for, and I'm going right here from Sand 5 to DSD8, and right here it tells me I'm looking for a trailer that ends 2274. Sure enough, in spot 524, not 509, is my trailer that ends 2274. So save yourself a trip up to the guard shack, save yourself a call to ROC, know that going into your in-transit trips, you can find that trailer number and then just search around in the yard for that trailer. Man, just left Sand 5, back to being ahead of schedule, which is what I like. And in DSD4, they ended up not having a trailer. And when they don't do that, or when they don't have one for you, they do make you stay till the very end, like to your actual departure time, to be sure that they don't empty one out, so that they then do what's called like the bobtail you. So I drove back from like a viable excuse I can use. And it's like, well, let's get a screenshot of them saying that they're sending me down the 54 and the 54 is in a detour. It didn't have to come to that because I made it to San 5 when I was supposed to, or like right before I was supposed to. But it's like, that's kind of the mindset you have to have. You have to say of like, okay, you know, what's going on? What do I have control over? And what's going on right now that if I document, it could help me later on in a performance dispute. So I made it to San 5 on time. They had the trailer ready. I'm now heading up to Otay. That I don't even think I was supposed to leave San 5 until like 12:30. But it's for somebody who likes being like ahead of schedule, staying at that last spot till 11:44 and then be due down here 30 minutes later was like, I don't like that. It's how it is. I don't like it, but definitely have that mindset as far as like, you know, what's going on in my surroundings right now that I can grab a picture of or grab a video that will serve me well if a performance dispute needs to be done. Just got my MT from Poway, heading back down to Otay. 1:45 right now, still ahead of schedule. They sent out more spot capacity. I haven't heard back from them yet, but if this phone starts playing getting it by 2 short, then it's gonna make my night a little bit better. All I know is I have to be home by 7:45 to take my daughter to school. So, you know, I have time for this little, it was a spot capacity offer going from like San 3 to DSD4 back to San 3. I have time to get that done, but pretty much like only time to do that run. If they have something else come up, I'm just gonna call it quits after this. Just gonna head back to Otay and go home with just the one load tonight. Kind of like to get in, get out. So, will the phone ring? Am I gonna go home? It's kind of a mystery at this point, but we'll see how it turns out. Man, so we're ending this one totally different. One, I'm in the four-wheeler, I'm in the little car. And two, I'm wearing sunglasses. Not because I can't tolerate the sun, but because I look like absolute hell. I've been up for about 26 hours, and I need to go home and take a little nap. I wanted to wait till I got all my chores done. Both kids are at school, daughter at high school, son at middle school. He starts a little bit later than she does, so just finished dropping him off. 8:52 now, heading home. The highlight of my night last night was, I'm not gonna break down the loads at the end because there was just that one load I got off of spot capacity. Never heard back from that other one. Highlight of my night was, got to have lunch with a good friend of mine, Damon. Damon and I ran into one another about a year ago at DUR9. Saw him with the camera, asked him what he was doing with it, and he was actually the first trucker who did YouTube that I actually met in person. And so it was just kind of cool. We kept in touch, exchanged numbers. He sent me a message on YouTube earlier saying that he was going to be down at San 5, and I'm like, no way, I'm going to be down at San 5. We've been trying for 6 months to meet up, get together, hang out, eat, something like that. So middle of the night, we went down to a place called Asada's, yeah, on Main Street down in Chula Vista. And I thought we did our due diligence and checking it out, seeing like, you know, they said they were open 24 hours, headed down there. Come to find out, that's for the drive-through, not for dine-in, and no way I was gonna fit that truck through a drive-through that had like a 6'7" limit on it. So the girl that worked there was super cool. She served us through the drive-through line. Wasn't expecting that at all. She was very kind to us. Appreciated that. But anyway, it was so good to see him. Got caught up. Just, you know, talked about trucking, talked about YouTube. We both kind of have the same MO with this thing. It's kind of like we both kind of try this trucking thing and really don't have a lot of ego attached to it. So it's cool to see him. His channel, Running Wild with Milwaukee Buck. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. Damon, it was great hanging out with you. I enjoyed your company. Food was good. It was cool catching up with you, man. So last but not least, I pulled over here so I could legally use the phone. Let's just do that blind reaction to the gray. Just had the one load last night, so let's get in here and go to performance. This is going to default to my last active 6 weeks. I don't care about that. I'm interested in the loads I ran last night, which will show up here for last 7 days. Let's apply that. On time 100, acceptance 100, app usage 100, disruption free. Now the one thing that sticks out to me on this, even though they're all 100, see how on this chart right here, see how that dips down? I think that's going to be a false accusation. Let's just be sure. View details. 100, 100.
Yeah, see, they're saying nothing, but the fact that this little blip here is showing up, back to performance, the fact that this little blip is showing up there, it's something I'm gonna have to keep an eye on. There's no way, this would imply that I was late to a leg last night. There's no way that's true. If you go and look at the information that they have, go to history here. I think I've just done, yeah, just this one load so far this week. DSD4 to San 5, I mean, let's see where I was late. Arrival at DSD4, scheduled at 10:43, got there at 10:16, it's not there. Arrival at San 5 was scheduled at 11:44, got there at 11:36, it's not there. San 5 to DSD8, let's see, we know what time I got to San 5, I got there on time. DSD8 scheduled at 1:30, I got there at 12:43, it's not there. And DSD8 to San 5, I was scheduled to get there at 3:02, got there at 2:32. So this is just something I'm gonna have to keep an eye on for the next couple of days, see what that little blip means. It might be a glitch, it might be something they cook into the sauce to kind of move those grades down, I don't know. But something I'll have to keep an eye on. Anyway, gonna end this one now. Got Lou asleep in the passenger seat. We're gonna go home and hopefully repeat this at home. I hope this video serves you well. Appreciate you for watching. Take care.